No chair, peace and love with care. Cover all that's there. Total love affair. Cover the game from the top to the news. Celebrity drama, political trauma. The season of sports from basketball courts in the nation. Donation, support whenever you go, wherever you listen. Knowing how you do it, she always glisten. I'm telling you, we gotta get it right. So tune in, baby, right now tonight. Let me get that rhythm and flow. Rhythm and flow. Gotta get that rhythm and flow. Rhythm and flow. She got that rhythm and flow. Rhythm and flow. Let me hear that rhythm and flow radio show.
I want to welcome you to the #1 internet radio station, IntellectualRadio.com, better known as the house that Earl built. We have 70 shows, 70 to 150 hosts and co-hosts, streaming 24/7 on your smart device with internet access. I want you to know that I am big and beautiful. I am fat, but also fabulous. I'm plump and I'm pretty. I'm getting curvy, and I always been cute. But most important, I'm confident. I'm the boss lady of Rhythm Flow Radio, your host, Katie Lowe. We have a great show lined up for you today with our special guest sitting to my immediate right. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because she knows herself better than I do.
Hi, my name is Ina Bokian. I am a writer primarily. I also model and I act in Chicago, and I do a lot of philanthropy work and community work in the city.
All right. We know, I from what I've read, you have a lot of interesting things that you're involved in.
Yes.
And before we get to that, I got to talk about, I got one thing that I have to talk about. But before I do that, why don't I play one of Chicago's own artists? Because we do share independent music on the show. And today I'm going to play my favorite. I play her all the time. I really like this lady. I like her music. I think that is soulful. And if you are a stepper, you can definitely step to the music. Her name is Tony Red. Her music can be found on iTunes. And the song I'm going to play is called Underneath My Skin. Enjoy the music. And we're going to come back with this hot topic.
Since you gone, I tried to let it go. Over and over again, I tell myself, no, just hold on. You'll find a new love. Round and around it goes. Your face keeps breaking through the clouds above. Through the clouds above. And I wonder who's watching over you. And I wonder who's loving you every night. I wonder if you ever think of me too when the mood is just right. Do you miss me like I'm missing you tonight? Oh, no more tears, just this longing. It's here deep inside, hidden underneath my pride. I face each day, I take a new breath, but your passion is still underneath my skin. It's underneath my skin, baby, underneath my skin. And I wonder who's watching over you. And I wonder who's loving you every night. I wonder if you ever think of me too. If the mood is just right. Do you miss me like I'm missing you tonight? If you ever think of me, when the moon is right, oh, your love is out of sight, baby. I've got you underneath my skin. It's underneath my skin, my baby, baby. I wonder if you think of me over and over and over.
Those are the sounds of Tony Red, and the name of that cut is Underneath My Skin. Like I say, you can buy that cut on iTunes. Back to my topic. I got a couple of topics, but one topic I really have to get this off of my chest because we have so many states that are passing new abortion laws. It almost makes me think that they want to overturn Roe v. Wade for some reason. But one of the things that I'm so upset about is that a lot of Republicans, they're Democrats who pro-choice, okay? There are Democrats who are choice. There are Republicans who are pro-choice. There are Republicans who are choice. But they want to pass these laws that say at conception, it's against the law to have an abortion. At conception. Well, the average woman doesn't know that she's pregnant until she's at least 4 to 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you don't know. You can't pinpoint and say, hey, I have sex tonight and tomorrow I'm pregnant. Mm-hmm. It's impossible. But it's a double standard. I believe that if I can't tell, if there are no laws, there are no federal laws to tell a man what to do with his penis. Other than he can buy some Viagra and his insurance company will pay for it. But there are no laws to tell a man what he can do with his penis. They don't say that you have to get a vasectomy because really that penis is what causes that woman to get pregnant. That sperm that comes out of it. But yet and still you want to tell a woman what to do with your body. So what makes me mad, there are some Republicans, and I said I wasn't going to expose this, but I had to go find this article. And these are men who have gotten their girlfriends, their mistresses, pregnant and tried to force them to have an abortion. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now you are so against abortions, but when you go out and impregnate somebody out of wedlock that your wife doesn't know about, then it's okay. So myself, I don't like the double standard. I don't like the fact that if someone gets pregnant, say they get raped, and a pregnancy ensues after the rape, and that person that they got raped by, after this girl goes to the doctor, she found out she has AIDS. Why should she be forced to keep that baby? I just can't see it. And I see how they operate. Because when one of them go out and get their mistress pregnant, it's okay for the mistress to have an abortion. But behind closed doors, you want to fight against a woman's right to choose. I just don't understand it. What do you got to say about that?
I think as far as I'm concerned, I am pro-choice to a point. I'm against partial birth abortion. I've always been against that, but I am pro-choice to a point. I know a lot of people in my community don't agree with me, but I just feel like I have my values. What I would choose to do is my choice, but I can't expect the rest of the population who may not agree with, my moral values and my moral standards, and therefore they should have a choice. Now, what you do is between you and God.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, uh, you have to figure out what you're going to allow yourself to do, and you're going to be held accountable between you and the Creator, whatever you believe in or whatever you don't believe in. I wouldn't feel comfortable if I was a legislator to make that determination at conception.
Yeah.
I'm a rape victim myself.
Are you?
Yes, and that's kind of how I talk about that a little bit in my book, and kind of my journey into film. It kind of started with that. In that mindset, right after my assault, I literally could not get myself together. So I can't say that within 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, I did not get pregnant, so thank God. But I was not in the right mindset. I wanted to take my life. I
Oh,
could
wow.
not, I just couldn't function. I was non-functioning. I got raped later in life. I was 29 years old and I was a virgin. So I wanted to wait until marriage. So it was very difficult for me. Um, so I think in that mindset, I think it would have been either myself. Let's say if I had been pregnant, it would have been myself and the baby. I wanted to take my life. So this is something that people really need to understand, that unless you have gone through that, and unless your daughter or somebody in your family is in that position in
Mhm.
that moment, you could be losing two lives, or they could try to do it themselves. So I just think from my personal experience, if I was a legislator, I just would not feel comfortable making a law saying that at conception. I think I would give some leeway, a few months. I'm against partial birth abortion,
Mhm.
but that's just, again, my personal view. I don't like that, some people go ahead and do that. However, I just think um, I can't use my moral standards and apply them to everybody else, because there's a lot of things that I don't do that I wouldn't make it illegal for everybody in the country.
Hey, I like the way you put that, and I have sympathy for you because you were a rape victim. You can kind of understand where I'm coming from,
Right.
but yet and still, everybody has their own point of view. I just don't understand why it is just. It looks like, maybe I should say, because of the way the government
Hmm.
is being ran by that man that's in the White House.
Right.
I just find that there are so many things. I almost sit up sometime and I say, look, like history is trying to repeat itself.
Right.
Okay. And the reason I say that is because African Americans and people of color, I feel like that they're being stigmatized. I really do. I believe that there's a stigma that rides over our head. And I believe it has to do with the color of my skin.
Hmm.
This abortion thing, I thought this was something that we had put away. I thought this was something that had been settled. But we have this man that's in the White House. And I noticed that all of the states, the 3 or 4 states that have changed the laws, they're all being led by a Republican,
Hmm.
you know, either mayor.
Hmm.
So I just don't understand it. But some of these same men who are wanting to change these laws are some of the same men who had mistresses who got pregnant and wanted them to have an abortion. I want you to go to Friends Who Like Rhythm Flow Radio and read the article. I didn't want to go through the full article on the show because it's only an hour show. But go through there and read the article, and you'll find that there are at least 7 men that are mentioned in the article that I posted. And they all talk about their mistresses and wanting them to have abortions.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I just can't understand it. But I do feel that Congress, I mean, I feel that the United States government, as far as a woman's reproductive organ, They need to leave that alone. They really do. And if they want to make some laws that have to do with the male penis. Make some laws. Make some laws to say, hey, if you impregnate somebody, that you have to stay the course. Make them responsible. Because the saying, it's mama's baby and daddy's maybe.
Yeah.
Make them responsible. Okay, we're going to be back in a minute and talk about our next hot topic. I'm going to play another song by my friend Tony Red. And y'all know I can't see. And the name of this song is Angel Baby. And we'll be right back.
I can still see your face, hear your voice, feel your body next to mine. The way that you love me, baby, takes me to another time. Why did you take me to the sky just to drop me on the ground? You are an angel in my eyes. I cannot down, so angel baby, don't go too far. Angel baby, stay here with me. Angel baby, don't go too far. Take good care of this body. Ooh, yeah. Still I keep on and keep on wishing that I'll see you once again. I know that I must be crazy, wanting you like this again. Is that heaven here on earth? It's next to you, and time only lets me know the word of loving you. So, angel baby, don't go too far. Angel baby, stay with me. Angel baby, don't go too far. Take good care of this love. Take good care of me. If there's heaven here on earth, it's next to you, and time only lets me know the word of loving you. So, angel baby, don't go too far. Angel baby, stay with me. Angel baby, don't go too far. Angel baby, stay with me.
All right, you just got to listen to Angel Baby, and that is Tony Red CD, Her Redness. And like I said, you could purchase that on iTunes. I want to welcome you back to the house that Earl built, the number one internet radio station with over 70 shows, 70 to 150 hosts and co-hosts, streaming 24/7 on your smart device with internet access. Well, my next topic is, because I know Because I know that you are a part of Empire, and Empire is all in the news.
I
And I'm
never
going to
would have
tell
thought.
you when I found that you were going to be my guest, I said, oh, I get a chance to talk about Jesse Smollett. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. But I need to know.
Right.
And then I want to talk about them canceling the series.
And that was before. So that they didn't cancel the series because of Jesse. We actually thought it was going to end with season 5. So we already knew that the show was probably going to be over. They just kind
Close to
of
the mic.
they just kind of, dragged out the storyline, but we thought just from working on the show that we would be done season 5. This is before the Jesse Smollett thing.
So them canceling show has nothing to do with Jesse.
It has absolutely nothing to do with Jesse. I think that a lot of the main characters stayed longer than they wanted to. They have other projects that they want to work on. They have other things that they want to do. But it was such a good show that they kept, they kind of dragged it out. So I think it came to the point where a couple of the main people they just couldn't do it anymore. So that's why they wrapped it up. I'm not going to say who, but a few of the people had other things going on, and they sacrificed their time and they sacrificed themselves in order to make the show happen. But it's a very intense show. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of drama. So just to get in character for those kinds of parts, I think is really difficult for some people.
The ratings were still reasonable. I mean,
yeah, but sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with that. Like, sometimes you're just exhausted playing a certain character, and it just takes, say for example, I'm one of the main people, and I just I feel I put in my time, I gave everything that I could, and I want to move on to other things. It just takes a lot out of you mentally to get into a certain kind of character if you personally want to move on. So it sometimes doesn't have to do about the money or the ratings or anything like that. Some people just had other things outside of Empire that they wanted to move on to.
Because when they said they were canceling, and I'm listening to what you're saying now, and I think about TV series, daytime things, shows that have been on TV, and I'm not an advocate of soap operas. I mean, I have watched them with my sister and some of my friends, but I think her name is Erica Kane. Erica Kane stayed on Channel 7 on All My Children until they got rid of All My Children. And that was for years. I mean, there are people that grew up with her.
Yes.
So when you're saying that other people wanted to move on to other things, I mean, this is my personal opinion. If the network is making money and the ratings are good and the advertisers are still behind the show, why cancel it? We're talking about money. We're talking about getting paid.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not that big of a part of the show. I'm just telling you what, rumors were around, and it had nothing to do with Jesse. I was expecting to be done. Like, I was expecting to be looking for other kinds of work after season 5. And this was at the beginning of season 5. I didn't even know it was going to get renewed for season 6. So I'm just happy, like, yay, I got a fall job, a couple of days a week, I still get to work. So that's exciting for me because I like that job. I got used to the people. I like working there.
So season 6, Jesse is written out, right? Is he in season 6?
The last thing is that he was off on his honeymoon. I don't know what happens beyond that. I don't know if he dies. I don't know, but that was the last.
They just write him out, huh? I'm just.
We'll have to stay tuned.
Okay, I was just interested about. Somebody said, Marble Foster says Empire had their viewers' ratings dropped after season 3.
Maybe they played. I don't really pay attention to ratings. I mean, I just work on the show, so I'm more concerned with, am I gonna get to go to work or not? And sometimes I don't even watch the episodes as they come out. I watch them later on, like a marathon on Hulu. Like, I'm concerned about going into work, getting a paycheck, moving on, doing other things that I'm working on. as a working actress, I'm really not that into ratings, who's making what money, who's doing what else. I'm concerned about I got booked, I'm going to work, I get a paycheck. I mean, that's just me personally. I
Okay.
can't speak for everybody else.
All right. I didn't mean to put you on. I just thought I'd ask because I know that you do work on that series.
Well, I will say about Jesse, he is one of the nicest people I have ever worked with. So as far as I've been on the show since it started, since its inception, featured, and I've done some stand-in work on the show. And I think that Jesse has been one of the most kind people that I've ever worked with. And I'm not just saying that to be politically correct.
Mhm.
He really has been a wonderful person. I really don't know, beyond that situation. It was a shock to myself and a lot of the people that have worked with him. I wasn't there. Whenever people ask me, I wasn't there. I can't tell you.
Mhm. All right. Okay. Listen, we're going to play you another independent artist, and his name is Fellow Soul. The name of the song is Echo. And when we come back, we're going to get up close and personal with Ina Bokian. Enjoy the music.
Yeah, y'all know. Echo, don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, 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 don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, echo. I must admit, girl, I'm nervous. It's kinda hard to determine, but I don't care, girl, I'm all in, all in. I stand where you can see me. No playing, girl, believe me. I mean it. Echo, don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, 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 don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, echo. You're telling me that you're nervous. Will it last? No discernment. But you don't care cause you all in. I'm all in. We all in. I stand where you can see me. Through ups and downs, believe me. Not moving, believe it. I'm not gonna leave. Echo, don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, 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 don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, echo. Echo, don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, I'm not echo. Echo, don't wanna let it go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, don't wanna let you go. Echo, gonna let you go. No.
I want to welcome you back to the house that Earl built, the #1 internet radio station, IntellectualRadio.com. Remember, if your favorite show is Dana being Dana, The Drive at 5, He Said, She Said, J Spot, Making Waves with Miss Darcy, or Here's to Life with Zimmer, or Rhythm Flow Radio. They are everywhere, accessible anywhere at any time. You can always check on your favorite show on intellectualradio.com, wherever you are, at home or on the other side of the world. Now, welcome back, and let's get up close and personal with Ina Bokian. So tell me what you've been working on, girl.
Okay. Well, I've been trying to write a book for about, well, for a long time, because I was an American Lit major, among other things. I studied a lot. When I was in school, I had a million different things that I studied.
Hmm.
But one of the things was American Lit with a emphasis in criticism. But I also took a lot of creative writing classes. So I've wanted to write this book about coming to America, my parents, my family, all of these things. But I've been very hesitant about publishing. So I held back a bunch of work that I've actually written. And then after I got sexually assaulted, I really wanted to get that story out. But it took a while to sort of mold it.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what got me into film and television, because I'm primarily a writer. I never wanted to get into acting and modeling. And I got into film and television because I wanted to meet the kinds of people that will help me get my story out there. It just took a very long time.
Hmm.
And my book is actually a book of poetry. And as the deeper I got into Hollywood, I learned a lot of things I really didn't want to know. I have way too much information about way too many things. I know way too much about way too much. And this idea of sort of selling your soul in order to be put on, and selling your soul for clout. So a lot of the poems in the book kind of focus on that, but they do have a religious emphasis, because I did this book. So I wrote these poems while I was fasting. Um, and it's kind of difficult to explain, but I was actually sick most of the winter. I had this very bad lung infection. I have some sort of eh, I don't know, some immune disorder. I don't know exactly what it is,
Are
but
you being treated for it?
it's they don't know what it is. So I
Oh
just keep
wow.
going to the ER whenever things start acting up. I have heart palpitations, and I get all these infections. It's been an ongoing health struggle.
I'm not an expert, but sounds like you need to buy you're a respiratory pulmonary doctor.
Yeah, but it's not that. If it's inflammation based, and these things come up. It the initial cause it's not it's hard to pinpoint. So I mean, I don't want to get into all of that, but
Okay.
the what came out of this winter is I was very sick, and I had one doctor at one point suggest intermittent fasting. So I was telling my dad, and I think I've done that before. I had some other health issue, also part of this whatever situation I have going on with my health, and that worked for that. And so I was telling my dad this, and he was just like, no, my dad's a minister. So he said it in like a joking manner. He was like, well, if you're going to fast, you might have prayer, right? And he goes, it's probably going to
Yes.
work better. Girl, if he goes, if you're fasting for your health, like bring God into it. It
Oh,
can't hurt, right?
okay.
So he made a sort of joke out of it. And I mean, I don't think he meant it in that way, but I don't think he was trying to be like, yeah, definitely go, fast for the Lord. But I really thought about it. And then the next day, or a couple of days later, somebody I follow on Instagram, this girl named Julie Ledbetter. She's like a health and fitness person. And I follow her, and she had this like April gratitude challenge. So I started journaling and doing this challenge of like being grateful for 5 things every day, and reading scripture. And initially, I wasn't really writing poetry, but something had happened that really rattled me. And I was like reading scripture, and this poem came, and then this other poem came. So I got this idea of writing 40 poems in 40 days. And the way that I would write them, and I think this is very significant for people who are reading the poems, I'm not going to edit the wording for the 40 poems that I wrote during this fast, because I don't really want to touch them. I'm probably going to just edit any grammatical or spelling errors, but I'm not going to edit the poems themselves. So I would read the scripture as soon as I would wake up, and I would pray, and then I would go on my treadmill. And I love hip hop, so I would listen to hip hop.
Okay.
And while I was on the treadmill, I would write, whatever came to mind based on what I had just read and what I was listening to. And a lot of these poems were inspired in the moment, and they are written in a fasted state, but also having to do with some of the things that I know that I can't really speak about. It's a sort of like battle between good and evil, and just some people that have reached out to me and they're struggling with certain things. I've been praying for them. And also, the book is really inspired by people who have supported me throughout my journey, my healing journey. And so I dedicated my book to these people that I didn't expect to encourage me, and they played a significant role in my life. So I dedicated my book to them.
So is this book already, is it published?
It's not published.
Okay.
It's free on Instagram. So people could access all the poems that I've written for free.
Okay, why don't you share the link on Instagram where the poems are free?
Yes.
Share it to the page Friends Who Like Rhythm Flow Radio,
Okay.
so that people can go in
Yes.
and find it.
And they have to scroll all the way back at the bottom so
Okay.
they could read everything.
Okay.
And then it's the 40 poems after that. And then I continued on writing poems here and there because I was inspired. But the 40 poems is what's going to go on the book, and I'm eventually going to put that on Amazon, hopefully by the end of the summer.
Okay, now you've done some other things since the last time we saw you too.
Yes.
Are you in love?
I mean, I can't even really go into that. We could, yeah, no comment.
No comment.
No comment.
Well, you know why I'm asking. You have such a different aura about yourself.
Oh, okay.
This time from the last time you were on yourself.
Oh, okay.
I thought maybe you had went out there and got bit by the love bug.
I mean, I wouldn't say no. So
okay, you just don't want to comment on it.
I just don't want to comment on. I mean, read the poems.
Okay. That's the way to. Hey, that's the way. Hey, that's the way to getting you out of your business. And I respect that.
Well, it's going to be in the second book, though, because this book is the first one.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'll get to expand.
Okay. Another thing that I noticed that I read about you. What is this non-for-profit? I mean, is it a 501(c), a non-for-profit, or some type of organization that I see you're working with? And it looks like it's boxing, and it looks like it has a lot of youth in it, or something.
No, well, no. I took initiative. So well, first of all, so the book that I wrote is dedicated to, well, different people. But so first it's God, because, I couldn't do anything without God. My family, James Franco, my professor, Luis Urea, who was my biggest inspiration while I was in school, and he helped me write, and Jason M. Peterson. Now, Jason Peterson introduced me to this guy, Johnny, who started a station called Hope for the Day.
Hope for the Day?
Hope for the Day.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with boxing. Those are just events that I put together with people that I knew in fitness and in health and fitness, and I decided to organize these events. And then the other organization is one I've been involved with for a long time. It's called Hilarity for Charity, and that is an organization for Alzheimer's started by Seth Rogen and Lauren Miller. And for my birthday this year, I teamed up with a Black business owner. His name is Paul Chambers. And initially it was going to be a boxing class, but we're actually going to have a beauty event downtown at Paul Chambers Salon. And the proceeds from this fundraiser are going to go to both organizations. Hope for the Day, which supports suicide prevention, mental health, awareness about depression and anxiety, and Hilarity for Charity, which helps the caretakers of Alzheimer's patients and dementia patients. And I just wanted to marry the two because they both fall under the umbrella of mental health. And I just think from a lot of my experiences and the trauma that I've experienced, that sometimes the people in our lives, they just don't have the resources, the tools, or the knowledge to help us, even if they are well intended. So, organizations like Hilarity for Charity and Hope for the Day exist in order to help fill that need. So I just wanted to raise more awareness and team up with people that I think are very helpful and also leaders within their communities. Paul Chambers has been in business for over 20 years and he does a lot of charity work. He opens up his salon to women from shelters and he gives them a
Oh,
makeover.
wow.
Yeah, he's just a wonderful person to work with. We also share some of the same values. He's a believer as well, and I just really appreciate him for living out his faith and just the way he approaches his business as more of a, I mean, he believes that it's not just hair, it's like his mission to the world to just be caring and show God's love. And I think that's just so beautiful. So when I told him about this idea, he was really excited and I can't wait to see what's gonna come out of it. But I don't work for these organizations. I just
Okay.
take it upon myself to reach out to as many business owners as possible who are willing to volunteer, donate their services in order to make these events possible. And then the money goes directly to the charities. But I do this from the goodness of my heart.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I don't know. I guess because I saw the boxing, the guy, I thought you see, oh, she putting on some kind of boxing event. But
I had a couple of boxing events when I was training with I was training with this guy named Cleveland Hughes,
mm,
and sometimes we do events together. But now for this future one, we're gonna go in a different direction and do a beauty event. I'm not sure exactly what's gonna entail. We just pinpointed it on the calendar. It's gonna be on July 28th at 2 o'clock at Paul Chambers Salon.
it's located.
Well,
Where it's located?
it is located on Van Buren. So if people just Google Paul Chambers Salon, it's right off of Michigan Avenue. It's a beautiful salon, and he's got his own hair care line.
All right.
I'm just personally, I'm so touched to work with him because I see how much he puts into his business, but also how much he cares.
Now,
for
how did
people.
you get involved with Paul Chambers?
I actually met Paul Chambers because of another working actress. Her name is Maria, and we were working on Widows. You know the movie?
Yes.
Yes. So we were working on Widows, and Maria had a hair appointment. I think Widows is out in theaters now.
Yeah. Well, it's out in theaters now. I'm a fan. I love movies. I don't really like to go to the theater and sit up in there and watch a movie. It's you know, it can be uncomfortable sometimes, and anything can happen. I always think about what happened down there in Florida when the man went to the
Yeah.
show and
Oh my God.
got killed.
Right.
So I usually wait to Amazon
Okay.
put the movie on sale for $9.99. I figure you go to the movie, what you pay about $10, $11.
Pretty much, yeah.
So buy the movie from Amazon, and then I can just watch it whenever I get ready.
That's true.
That's the way I enjoy
I
my
haven't
movies.
seen it either. So.
Oh, I have.
Oh.
It is a good movie. It's about a group of women that became widows and they had to take things into their own hands. They robbed the
Well,
bank.
I worked on that. Okay, well, I worked on that. so
Yes,
I'm
that's
glad
a good movie with Viola Davis. Yes.
that's where I met Maria. We were
Okay.
both working background on this one. I just literally that day I literally just needed some work, so I normally don't take stuff like that, but I just took on the gig and she needed to get some product. So she's like, "Well, do you want to come with me to my to Paul Chambers?" And I went to him, and then I had an event later on in a few months after that. I had an event for Hilarity for Charity, not one I organized,
hmm
but I went out to LA to their big gala, and I reached out to Paul, and he did my hair for it. So then we started talking some more. I ended up becoming a model for his salon. So I'm like on the posters. It's really cute.
Congratulations.
And I feel special now. like I wasn't feeling very special before. And I'm like, oh look, there's me. And I just wanted to help him rebrand his product, and he asked for my help, so we decided to team up, and now we're working on editing the website, creating more content, getting models for photo shoots. And this kind of organically happened because his vision of helping the community and making it accessible for everybody, but also keeping it keeping the integrity of his product and his line to cater to more luxury hair. So he does community events for people who may not be able to afford such services, but it's really a luxury hairline. So I'm just really excited to be in partnership with him.
And then to do something for mental health is really outstanding. Um, I think there are quite a few actors who are getting involved. I know Taraji P. Henson
Yes.
got involved, and I'm thinking there's someone else who got involved with some other real big name out there who's also involved in mental health, which is which is really a great issue. It's a large issue in America because we have a lot of homeless people
Mm-hmm.
who are suffering from mental health issues.
Right.
And, a lot of times I guess we're so insensitive that we don't look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
They're, well, they can go get a job, but it's not it's not that time. It's not that way all the time because there could be something
Right.
mentally that a mental problem that's blocking that. And I guess if we don't have knowledge of that, we look at things and see it the wrong way. So I
Mm-hmm.
just think that that's a great cause.
Well, for Taraji's organization, that is the Boris L Hansen organization.
Hmm.
Cleveland and I did an event. It was called A Fight for Depression. We actually did an event. We had a little fundraiser to raise awareness when the organization first started up. So that was one of the events that we did raise awareness for. So I was
Okay.
very aware that Taraji was involved with that, and that's how I met Mr. Peterson.
Oh,
So Mr. Peterson is a very, very famous Chicago photographer, and he also has his own ad agency, the guy who introduced me to Johnny. And I reached out to him. Now, keep in mind, this man's got a million followers. And I reached out to him asking him if he could donate some sort of photo or whatever.
hmm.
I did not expect somebody who's got 1 million followers to respond to me. And he did. He told me he couldn't donate for this particular event, but he would put me in touch with Hope for the Day. And I guess a life-changing moment for me was when I met Mr. Peterson, who is this like larger than life, character, just very charismatic, very happy, very welcoming. I met him and he already recognized me, and I was like, oh, he must have read my stuff, I was very impressed by that. And one of the first things he said as soon as he met me, he said, come here, let me give you a hug. You are such an awesome person. You're going to do amazing things. And I
All
think
right.
there's a reason why you're here so that we could do something together. And I really took that to heart because I'm like not anybody super special as far as celebrity status or any of that is concerned.
Let me tell you something about life. You are special. We all are special. Okay. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be in the White House to be special. You're special in your own way. To be special, you must believe in yourself. Don't let it listen. Don't let nobody make you think that you are inferior. Girl, do like I do. I walk past the mirror and I say, who? Mirror, mirror, do you know who I am? And I tell that mirror, I'm Katie Lowe. I'm special in my own right. I'm special in my right because I care about me and I care about others. And I'm not going to let anybody make me feel less than who I am. And that's a human being. You better walk around with your chest up high, girl, don't you? You're special. Tell yourself
Well,
that.
my mama thinks I'm special, definitely. And I'm special in God's eyes because, we're all God's children. But I just mean a lot of people tend to, I think Kanye West spoke about this and a few other people, you know, a lot of people tend to look at celebrity status and people's like number of followers and they give people significance in terms of numbers. And that's like this millennial thing right now. And I feel like that people tend to attach value to like the number of followers you have or how, you know, how much clout you can get.
And that's the wrong thing to do.
Right.
Okay. So people who look at those are things that are on social media, followers.
Right.
Who cares how many followers you got? Okay. This is what I mean. This is my opinion, the way I look at life. When you get to heaven, God don't care how many followers you got. He really don't care. Okay.
Right.
And if you cut yourself up and do too much plastic surgery, he might not even know who you are. I mean, it's what you think about. This is my opinion. It's what you think about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a little saying that I use on this show, and I've been using it for a long time. And it talks about self-worth. You see, it's not what you think you are that holds you back.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you think you are not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, girl, you got to look at life a different way. Serious. Self-love, self-respect,
Mm-hmm.
self-worth. They all start with self. Remember, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's what you think you are not. Think about yourself.
Well, I agree with all of that. But as far as when you try to get an event together,
Okay.
and you reach out to people and they think you're a nobody, guess what? It's almost impossible to get support. So that's
Okay.
what I mean about I'm not
Okay.
special. When you try to partner up with somebody and they look at you and they tell you you're you're in excess, you're nobody, then nobody wants to help you. I feel like people tend to partner up with those that have more clout, that could, if they're a certain level of famous, they can make them more famous. So it's just very difficult when you try to be an advocate and an activist to do things, to have people partner up with you because they don't consider you valuable enough and they don't really look at the content. But for me, I really appreciated people like my professor, Mr. Franco, Mr. Peterson, that always looked at my content and what I had to bring to the table as an intellectual, because there's more to me than modeling and acting. I'm actually an academic, and I think that if people read my poetry and they kind of they know the text behind it, they'll see some of my mind and what I really want to do for the community and for people out there, because I feel like I'm put on this earth to have to share more love and compassion, but I also need strong individuals that have somewhat of a following to partner up with me, because I'm only one person. I can't do everything and I don't have the resources. It's very difficult to start a movement if you don't have people backing you up. So that's all I mean about like I'm not really special. But when people like Mr. Peterson is like, you know what, you are somebody, that gives me the encouragement to keep going and keep doing things on my own and building things on my own, because I know that if I need to reach out to somebody and make a phone call, I have some people backing me up, which is really, really sweet.
Okay, well, that's the way you look at it. And I respect that. I just look at it a different way. So what do you plan to do now that now that season 6, Empire's getting ready to end, and you've been there ever since they opened the door?
Yes.
What do you plan to do with yourself?
Well, I just Tuesday actually got booked as featured on a new show with John Cusack. I've never worked with John Cusack before, and the last time I ran into him was on a plane headed to a Hilarity for Charity event.
Okay.
And he was really nice to me, so I wrote him a thank you letter. I don't know if he remembers that, but he was just nice to me on the plane. So before I left the plane, I wrote him a thank you letter for thinking I was supposed to be sitting in first class, which again I thought was sweet. So I don't know if he remembers that. I'll be working on Mixtape and Utopia, and then working on this book really, and just putting this charity event together. I plan on doing more activism work and focusing on my writing and just encouraging other people to be leaders. Like, I feel like I'm a leader within my own community, but I don't want to be a leader alone. I kind of want to teach people to do what I do so that they could start their own movement and do things in their own communities.
Okay. All right. Listen, we're going to play one more song about another independent artist. Like I say, most of this music that I play, you can find this music on iTunes. And this is by my girlfriend. I'm gonna play this song by Shirley King. And listen, she's always singing the blues, but today I'm going to show you. I'm going to play another side of Shirley King, and the same name of the song, I believe, is The Mention of His Name. Enjoy the music, and we'll be right back.
Overwhelms my mind. I knew how to make him mine. He give me all the respect a woman deserves, and how I like to feel my arms around him. Got to feel my arms around him. I tremble at the mention of his name. If I could get him close to me, I show him how easy love could be. I give him all the respect a good man deserves, and how I like to feel my arms around him. Got to feel my arms around him. I tremble at the mention of his name.
All right, that's the mighty sound of Shirley King, and the name of the song is The Mention of His Name. I'm telling you, it's a different sound when she sings the blues. I thank everybody for tuning in today to IntellectualRadio.com, also known as the house that Earl built. I want you to know that there are over 70 shows right here on Intellectual Radio, 70 to 150 hosts and co-hosts. It streams 24/7 on your smart device. And thank you for exploring internet radio, where we are all here. There are topics from A to Z. We're like Lottie Dottie. We got something for everybody. So today is Tuesday, and you know what I normally say. It's got to be somebody's. I think it's somebody's weekend if I can find the music. Hold on, let me go find my song. And it started raining this morning. It was very ugly, but it's a very beautiful evening out there. And I want everybody to go out and enjoy it. We will see you next Tuesday. I don't know what this is. No, I thought it was gone. Hold on. I thought it was gone. It is. Girl, I don't know what happened there. It's gone.
Overwhelms my mind. I knew how to